Hi everybody, Michael here. Today's project is chest freezer. This chest freezer has an issue with the thermostat. The compressor just continues to run no matter what setting you set the thermostat to. The thermostat setting knob is down here and it just continues to run the compressor. So it looks like the thermostat has buggered up, and so today's project is replace the thermostat for a digital one. So at the start of the week I ordered a new digital thermostat for the chest freezer, and today's Friday and it has arrived. So today is unparceling time and installation of the new digital thermostat. Okay, so let's have a look at this parcel then. Borrow. There you go. Don't know what that's for. But anyway, here's our microcomputer, temperature controller, thermostat. Here's our thermostat sensor, or temperature sensor I should say. Couple of clips hold the unit in place, and there's our unit there. Just a basic thermostat controller, reads in Celsius, in single digit format, there's no decimal place, and you can just set the temperature you want it to be at, up and down. And the on light, there's a light here, LED comes on when the compressor's on, and when the temperature drops down to the preset, then the compressor will turn off. And there is a delay, so if the temperature rises again too quickly, there is a certain delay that you can set up in the menu on here. You can have it for 1 minute or up to 5 minutes, I think it is. Before the compressor will kick back on again. That just prevents the compressor from locking up, stalling. In other words, the compressor can stall if you try to stop and start it too often. It's not good for the compressor. Here's our connections. So we just have our switched output. Here's our compressor or our load. And it's switched either on or off, and number 2 would be normally closed, number 3 is the common, and number 1 would be normally open. Power in is 240 volts, well 220 it says on here, but it's got a 10% margin, and the Australian power supply to our homes is 240 volts out of the GPO. Here's our temperature sensor wire, goes into here, and pretty straightforward. So temperature sensor, 240 volts in, and our switch to our compressor. Let's get cracking. Okay, so I was thinking this neon indicator here doesn't seem to light up very well. I'm not particularly phased about it anyway, so I'm most likely going to put the temperature controller in here where this neon is, and I'm just feeling around here. It feels like there's nothing behind there. It's fairly flexible, but if you go up here it's fairly hard. So there seems to be a fair bit of a cavity behind there. It goes hard here. So I reckon we'll be able to drill out and put the temperature sensor in there. Let's have a go at doing that. Okay, so there's our compressor, and if we look over here we can see where our neon is. There's our neon there, and you can see there's plenty of room behind there to put our temperature controller in. Yeah, so I reckon we'll give that a go. Okay, so here's the old thermostat. I've just taken it off the side of the wall there, and here's the neon that was plugged in. It had the blue neutral wire on that one. It had the brown active wire on that one, and it had the red, which I'm presuming is an active wire as well, on that one there. Let's see if we can get this to focus. Focus. Is it going to focus? And we've got the thermostat here has the red wire from the neon to the top, the brown active wire on the side, and a white wire which goes back to the compressor on the other side. And then there's an earth wire as well, which there's no need for that. We'll just keep that earth wires. The earth wire goes back to the chassis here anyway. There, as you can see, there's a screw with an earth wire on it. And this other digital thermostat doesn't have an earth connection, so we don't need to worry about that one. And the thermostat probe, the temperature sensor probe, I can get this thing to focus. Focus. Okay. Alright, I think that's focused. Thermostat probe sensor was just, where is it? I don't know if I can see it. It's pretty dark in here, but there's a tube there. It was poked up inside that tube. Okay, so we've removed the thermostat, which leaves us a bunch of wires. So we've got the active wire here, the brown active wire, which has got a tail on the end. That was on the thermostat. That went to the light, which showed that there was power going to the unit. So we don't need to worry about the earth wire there. The white compressor wire was on the other side of the thermostat, which would have switched on and off, which was constantly on. And then we've got this blue neutral wire, which then went straight to the neon. So the neon was configured in a way that when the power to the unit was on, the neon had a slight glow, and then when the compressor kicked on, there was another neon. So there's two neons in this indicator, and the second neon kicked on to indicate that the compressor was running. But we're not going to worry about that. So the plan is to run the brown active wire to the new controller, and then use this loop to go back to the switch part of the controller, and then have the compressor on the other side. So that will be our load, and then the neutral wire will go to the controller's input. So you've got 240 volts in, a loop from active, and then back to the compressor. So let's give it a go. So first of all, we need to mark out our hole size for our controller, and we'll need to mount this. Okay, so we've now marked out roughly where our controller needs to go with the pen that they supplied us. I've got a Falcon nibbler here. Just go in there with the drill attached, and you go up and around and nibble out the bit of sheet metal, and then we should be able to mount our controller. Okay, headphone warning. If you've got headphones on, you want to turn your volume down because this might be a bit loud. up here. Okay, let's see how that fits. Just a bit tight up here. Still a bit tight. There we go. So all we need now is put those clamps on the side to hold it in place. These ones here. Okay, so what we've done here is we've put a couple of bootlace connectors on. We've got a loop there for the power and to the relay, compressor wire here, and the neutral wire to power the controller. So a controller will have neutral and active, and then the active will loop back to the relay, and then it will go through the relay to the compressor. So the sense wire, where have I put that over here? The sense wire has just soldered ends here, so I'm going to put some bootlace connectors on there as well, which I've got some black ones here. Okay, so I've just crimped up 2 bootlaces onto that sense wire. So now we just need to connect it into the controller. Okay, so we've now got the clamps in place, so that's all flush and on there, and we've got the cables connected up. As you can see, the brown active wire goes to the relay and is looped back through with that boot. It's got a double bootlace on there. I could have put that brown active wire on the other side over here, but then there's a tight squeeze between those 2 bootlaces as it was. So we've put the double bootlace on the relay input side, and then the output side goes to the white wire to the compressor, and it loops back anyway to provide power to the controller with the blue wire, this one here being the blue wire and the brown wire. And we've got the bootlaces on the temperature sensor now. The temperature sensor wire come off there. I just haven't mounted the temperature sensor wire yet. I'll poke that up the tube. There's a tube there. I'll poke it up that tube. Might use a little bit of a stiff wire or something to help it get all the way up, because it goes up to about here. But we're going to do a power on test and see what happens. Okay, it's time to power it up. Let's do a smoke test. See what happens. Stand back. 26 degrees, and it's got a flashing light here. This flashing light indicates that the compressor is about to start, but it's in standby or compressor standby time. It will count down a minute, I believe, before it decides to kick the compressor in. That just prevents if there's a power outage and then the power comes back on. If the compressor was running when there was a power outage, it prevents the compressor from coming back on straight away. It's just a bit of a saver or a stall function to prevent the compressor from stalling. So we'll just see what happens when it counts down a minute. We should see the compressor start up. Okay, we're coming up to about 40 seconds. Can you see that light flashing? There we go, it just clicked on. And so you can hear the compressor running. It's humming away. So all we've got to do now and insert the temperature sensor up into the pipe up here. Okay, so I've got it running now. We've got our probe up in the hole up here. Had to take that tube out. The probe wouldn't fit, the temperature sensor wouldn't fit inside the tube. So we've just taken the tube out and we've shoved it up. Had a bit of a stiff wire with it to help go up into the cavity. And we're running at about, well, it's about 8 degrees. It's been on for a couple of hours. It's probably going to drop a bit further than that. I've set that to about 4 degrees. I just want to see if it switches on and off. We've got a temperature sensor inside here as well. And it says it's 8 degrees, so climbing up because I've opened the door. So, yeah, it looks like it's been successful. Just got to put that cover back on now.